Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Heal the Industry podcast. I'm your host, Ashlee Vance, and today was not a planned day for me to get on here and share and record a podcast episode. But I was so inspired this morning when I woke up because I had received a shared Instagram post from one of my stylists, and it left me so inspired. And I just felt like I need to get on here and I need to share real time as this is coming up for me because it is such a good reminder. And my hope is that at the end of today's podcast episode, that maybe if you're in a season where it feels like God has forgotten about you, that there's no intention placed on your life, that you don't understand the why behind certain things, or maybe you're in a place that feels so painful. My hope is that by the end of this podcast episode, you realize that in the times where you feel like God isn't with you is when he's with you the most. And the intention that he places on your life is so intentional. It's so beautiful. It's like the most gorgeous sunset times infinity, because that's how I'm left feeling. And so that is my hope that by the end of this podcast episode, you're left with maybe you start out with being in a place of unsure, feeling alone, to feeling like, man, there's so much hope, and I'm excited to see what God has in store for me. Okay, so it's a lot of pressure, but I'm up for the challenge. Okay, this Instagram post that left me so inspired, I'm going to read it to you guys. It's a carousel post, and it was posted by my Christian bro on Instagram. Okay. So it starts out with sharing Bethlehem is famous for Jesus's birth. But the first time that the Bible mentions the name, someone dies there. When we hear Bethlehem, we think of manger, the shepherds, the star, joy, new life, the Savior arriving. But go back to the very first time that the Bible ever mentions the town of Bethlehem. And it is one of the saddest moments in Genesis. Jacob's wife, Rachel, goes into labor on the road near Bethlehem. The birth takes her life. She dies, bringing her son into the world. The Bible says she was buried on the way to Bethlehem. That's the town's first appearance as a grave. And there's a heartbreaking detail. As Rachel is dying, she names the baby Benoi. I might be pronouncing that, but follow along, okay? Benoi, which means son of my sorrow. But Jacob can't name or let that name stand. He renames him Benjamin, son of my right hand. That's what that means. She names him from her pain. He names him from hope. Sit with that irony. Rachel once cried, "Give me children or I will die." She wanted a child more than anything. And in the end, the very thing that she longed for was the very thing that takes her. Her greatest desire becomes her final moment. Genesis is full of this bitterness or bittersweet turns. Now, fast forward 1,000 years. Where is King David born? Bethlehem. Where is Jesus born? Bethlehem. The town first marked by a mother's death becomes the town where God brings the greatest life the world has ever known. And that's how God is so, or sorry, and that's how God so often works. He takes the very place marked by sorrow and turns it into a place of your ultimate hope. Bethlehem starts as a grave and it becomes a cradle. Whatever whatever ground grief has claimed on your life, God is not done with it yet. Okay, so thank you for following along on that. I am dyslexic and it's hard for me to read out loud, but here we are. I got through it and you guys follow along. So thank you so much. Um, but I was like, whenever you read something, you can't help but like think of like, man, like placing it real time and in your life. So in reading that, I'm thinking of times where sorrow was placed in my life and how it became a place of hope. Okay. So I want to tell you guys a little bit of a story because I don't want to go super into it. I think that I'm still not prepared to go there with that conversation. Um, just because I want to be so delicate, I want to find the right words. But when I first started out in the industry and I got out of beauty school, I went and worked at a salon. And I was so excited. I was so on fire. Like finding this great space, I wanted so badly to help build it into something that is was massive. Like I remember starting there and I was met with so much challenge, right? Um, because the past stylist who had worked there didn't work there long, and clients would come in and be like, "Oh, how long are you going to be here?" And I'm like, "Challenge accepted." And they would come in again, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you still work here?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then I started to develop like relationships with those clients because I was still someone that was standing, that was still there. I had such a deep desire to help the owner of that space build the salon, right? But like so often, most salon owners is she was the talent of the salon. She was the one that brought in the most revenue behind the chair. And so she was stuck there. She was stuck behind the chair. I had the time, I had the ability to be able to help in other places, and I had also the desire. Um, but because there was pain there for her, like which I I'll get to later, but she had so much pain there being stuck behind the chair, not being able to do the things that she felt I could see. She was had such desire and a pull on her spirit to like lean in and do and go, that it was met with like bitterness, it was met with pain, it was met with some passive aggressive. Um, and it was hard, but I was up for the challenge. I wanted to help. I worked there for 4 years. And it came to a point for me where I realized that it didn't matter my desire, it didn't matter like my heart, it didn't matter all the things that I was willing to like do. Um, because at the end of the day, it was out of my hands the let go and trust. And I wasn't gonna stay someplace that was causing me so much pain at the end of the day. It was breaking my heart, because I just had the deepest desire to like help. And um, so that place became a place of pain for me because I had to leave a version of myself that I thought I was going to be and go out into the world, which was scary. And so I left that salon after so many years and realizing that I wasn't gonna be able to build what I had a desire to build in the first place there. So I had to go. And that was very heartbreaking. It was very hard for me. Um, and that's why like I can't like fully go there and have that conversation right now, just because there's a lot of emotion there behind all of it for me. And I like, even as I'm talking about it, I like feel it in my chest. Um, that like push pull of like wanting to go there. But I want to say, so I left and I went into a salon and I started my journey of entrepreneurship. And I was a booth renter at a salon. And I loved it so much because I could operate from a place of integrity that felt right for me. Um, I could build my business to be something that I felt comfortable putting my name on and behind. Um, and I grew there. I grew as a booth renter for 4 years at that space as well. I actually believe it was like 4.5 years. Um, and then I went from there to being a suite renter where I got to build out like my own vibe, my own brand, my own space. And I worked there for, I believe it was about 4.5 years as well. And then COVID hit, which was a crazy time for all of us inside of the industry. And I had this crazy vision put on my heart to become a salon owner and like continue on this path that God was leading me down. And I found a salon space, but the crazy thing about it, guys, is it was the exact same salon space that I had first started out in, the place where I first had that dream, that desire, that want, the place that like broke my heart. It was available. And I remember being at like odds with going there, just because it was a place of so much pain for me. I didn't know if I wanted to reopen those wounds. And then I remember one day before I had the lease and I could sign it and it could be mine. And I just had this like vision and this realization of like how in that season where my heart was being broken because I was having to let go of a dream that I had had, that I had a desire that I knew God put on my heart, that even though it didn't look the way that I thought it was going to look, that God was fulfilling on that dream while I had that lease in my hand. I had an opportunity to fulfill on God's promise. And He was blessing me with that in that season. And I was so grateful. You guys see, like, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry, I'm trying to pretty cry. But I was so grateful and in such awe of God's design and His fulfillment on His promises. And the crazy thing is that it doesn't stop there because I did sign the lease. I do own that salon still to this day. It is my Oregon location. And I remember opening the doors, filling the chairs, like the stylist, all the chairs were full in the salon. I was like, whoa, God, you are like 10xing on your promise. Like you are fulfilling in massive time. I had no idea like how quickly that was all going to happen. And about a year into being a salon owner, most of you guys know my story. My husband and I felt called to move to the state of Texas, where we now have our second location of Nova Strands. And I remember during that season, though, when we moved, I was flying back and forth from Oregon to Texas. I was in that new season of salon ownership. Okay, so as mentioned, this was not a planned podcast recording. So sorry, I got a little bit of an interruption because I was sitting in the front of the salon and I let a client in. And so now I'm here in my office and I'm going to pick up where I left off. I'm going to keep this really raw, uncut, unfiltered, like for you guys, because I believe it's like just so powerful. So, like I was saying, a year into being an owner, like most salon owners, I have come to learn is that you realize that being the talent behind the chair and holding the responsibility of having a salon team is something that eventually you have to you like transform and realize, oh dang, I really got to see my value beyond the hair that I'm doing to be available to pour into my girls, right? Because what I discovered was I was having that same feeling that I am sure my past salon owner was going through, and that like tug of war on your spirit of like, yes, I need to do the hair. I That's what it started becoming, if I'm being honest. I need to do the hair because I need the money to be able to handle the salon and all this responsibility. And that's been my income for so many years. Um, and I need to let go of that so that way I can be available to help pour into my girls the way that they were desiring, right? And so there was this tug of war on my spirit, and I was in so much pain with it because my family was relying on my income behind the chair, if I'm being totally honest and real and frank with it. Like my family was counting on that. And people don't talk about this enough. Like when you become a salon owner and you go through that season of you got to let go so you can grow and like grow your team, like, and the responsibility of like owning a salon, like there's an income dip. Like it's not just I signed the lease, I opened the doors, we got the chairs going, and I'm making all this income. Absolutely not. And then when you go and you move states and you have that responsibility as well, moving states, and then you're starting all over again. Like let me tell you, the dip that had to happen. But like having faith that God has got you, He always like fulfills on His promises. Um, but people don't talk about that enough. So I want to talk to you guys about that. Like there is a real reality when you go into a salon space, you're the owner, you work behind the chair, you're already taking an income dip because you've got all this responsibility. You went into it thinking like, oh yeah, like I can handle the rent, no problem. Like the lease, but like the least is the least of it. A little punny for you guys. That's the least of it, honestly, because you got so many other things that you're responsible for financially now, on top of the emotional responsibility and the practical responsibility. I mean, there's a lot. It's a lot. It is a transformation in its finest. Okay. But what I realized during that time is how often salon owners find themselves in that space. And then for lack of a better term, like toxicity starts to sit in because you are resentful because you didn't realize like that you're not just going to be able to like open the doors and make the place cute and everyone come in. It's good times and groovy tunes and it's like all good. It's not like that. And so you're like, dang, I like went into this with like rose-colored glasses on and no idea. Um, and so when I found myself in that place, I I have so much like grace and perspective when it comes back to like when I first worked at that salon and the season that that owner was going through. I had no idea as a stylist, but as a salon owner, I totally understand. But I also, in the same space that broke my heart, that God fulfilled on his promise, he also spoke to me there when I was in my back office at odds, not knowing like this has to change. Like our industry cannot sustain this. Like I know the pain as a stylist behind the chair and that like can't sustain, like that is painful, and then becoming a salon owner, recognizing that pain, and that's not sustainable, and it's got to change. And I remember going through all these thoughts in my office and being like, God, this is so broken. I don't know what to do. Like, how this can't stay this way. And then all of a sudden, God spoke to me, heal the industry. Oh, like, it's so emotional because not only did God fulfill on his promise and creating this amazing space, and then now two amazing spaces where Nova Strands was born from a place of my pain, but he also showed me my purpose and what I'm called to do and what he's placed on my life. And then, for many seasons I've struggled with that because that feels like a huge responsibility. And it is a very bold statement to say that I want to heal an industry. But I know now that I'm not called to do it alone. I'm not. It's taking on like an amazing mentor, Abigail. Like she has such a desire to heal the industry. She believes so passionately in what we're doing in our community and the ideas that we are working on and coming up with together. I'm so excited for what we have in store for all of our community members and for all of you listeners on the podcast. We have plans for you too in this podcast. I'm so grateful. And then also the amazing salon owners and leaders that are inside of our community, they are there committed to being a part of the change of healing the industry. They are taking their pain and they're turning it into their purpose. And the beautiful stylists that are inside of our Heal the Industry community, where it's more stylist, salon culture focused, they are committed to doing something different. They're committed to being the change because they recognize what has gotten us here won't get us where we are called to go. Because so many stylists, salon owners are leaving the industry. They aren't retiring. They aren't being set up for success. It's all just like broken and it's got to change. I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful for the other education programs that I work with inside of the industry as well, because I believe in the work that they are doing is a part of the healing work that we are doing inside the industry. I'm so grateful. But guys, I want you to see if you are in a season where you are in pain, you think God has forgotten you, that the vision that he put on your heart, it's not going to be fulfilled on. Like, I hope that you are seeing through the testimony that I am sharing with you how God is so masterful in his design. And he is so intentional in your life, and he has not forgotten you. Just be open. Be open to receiving, being open to see what he is doing, being open to opportunity, and trusting that he's putting it in front of you for a reason. Guys, this is like, I'm so on fire. I think you can see now why I was like, I know today it's Thursday. I normally record podcasts on Mondays, but I have to get on here now. Well, this is fresh and on fire in my spirit and my soul to share this with you guys. Your pain can become your purpose. And just because it's been marked with something that was hard doesn't mean that he's not going to write a beautiful story from it. And you're going to be able to make an impact, make a difference in people's lives from it. Okay, I'm gonna jump off my soapbox and say, like, man, this today, I can honestly say this is probably like my favorite podcast episode that I have ever recorded. And I can't wait to hear from you guys. And I want to hear your testimonies. Like, I want to be there for you. Maybe you're in a season where it feels like you're in that place of pain and the walls are closing in and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You don't understand what God's doing, but you are like, I'm tired of doing it alone. I don't want to be in this pit alone. Well, that is what Heal the Industry is for. It's a community, whether you are a stylist, whether you're an assistant, whether you are an esthetician, whether you're a nail tech, whether you're a salon owner, a salon manager, doesn't matter where you are, an educator, okay? Doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to do it alone. That's the thing. I think our industry so often isolates themselves and makes them feel like they're alone in that pain, in that comparison, in that lostness, in that unworthiness, the not feeling enough, the heavy weight that we carry from all of the compassionate stories and people that we serve and stylists that we work alongside and owners that are going through things like it, you don't have to go through it alone. That's the great thing about what we're doing in the Heal the Industry community is that it is a safe place where there is no judgment, where we all lean in on each other and we are all committed to building something that can sustain. Okay. So if you are interested in learning more about what Heal the Industry is doing, or you want to try out our community, we offer 7 days for free. You totally free. Come experience our calls, come see what we're doing inside of the community. Like, no gatekeeping, no secrets. You can come on, you see all of our past calls. Um, we just want to be a part of the change. Like, we want to help people facilitate that change inside of the industry. So if you're interested, please come check us out. I'm going to put links for our community inside of the show notes from this podcast episode. But also keep listening to this podcast because we're giving you guys some good stuff on here. We got some exciting guests that we're going to be having on the podcast in the following months. And I can't wait to share them with you guys. Follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is heal_the_industry on Instagram. But guys, if anything else, just recognize that if you want to change the industry, if you want to decide no more, you're going to be the chain breaker of the toxic brokenness that has happened inside of our industry. It is as simple as making that decision. Just decide, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to be a part of the brokenness. I'm going to be a part of the change and start making decisions from there. Okay. If anything else, that is like totally free. You can make a decision to just stop and be a part of the change. Stop and be a part of something that can sustain. Stop living in your pain and step into your purpose. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's it. I hope you guys have the most amazing day, and I'll talk to y'all soon.